Okay, so the two greatest prophecies, or one of the two greatest prophecies in the Nach, are the ones of Yecheskel and Yeshaya. Both had a prophecy on the Maaseh Merkava. The Merkava, I think in English the simplest translation would be the chariot, the divine chariot. Simply put, it's what's going on up there. What's going on up there? You know, we have ideas. If you're a dreamer, you'll fantasize about it and you'll try to imagine what it looks like. And we each have our own imagination of what it looks like. But both Yecheskel and Yeshaya, they actually saw with their eyes. Right? And if you read the Pasuk, it says the skies opened up and I saw, right? And they see. And then Yecheskel goes to describe it. We read this, I believe, on... Let me read this on Shavuot, Shmini, Pesach, we'll read this, right? Pesach, maybe. And he describes, Pesach, the last day of Pesach. Shvishal Pesach, I think. He describes the, what he sees there, okay? So he talks about, he sees this chariot, this thing, and he sees this angel's flying this way, this angel has 4 wings, and a very complex system, fire and wind, and all types of different things that are happening. And then the apex of it all. And then finally, he sees Adam. He sees an image of Adam, Hayoshev al Kiseh. He sees an image of Adam, okay, that's sitting on a chair. That's it. That's right. That's where it all leads to. Okay. Very important. This is very important. Now, just as an aside, I heard that the Merkava is really what's happening inside of us. Okay, so the Merkava that we see up there is really what we're designed of and what's happening inside of us. So, effectively, all of Likutei Halachot and all of Likutei Moharan are Maaseh Merkava in a very accessible language, whereas Yecheskel is very, very, very dense and hard to understand. This language is a little more brought down to us. Okay, so one of the Pesukim that Yecheskel says, "V'ala kiseh dmut kimareh Adam alav milamala." Dmut is like an image of an Adam who's sitting on a chair. So when Rebbe Nachman said this lesson 6, which was the Shabbat after Rosh Hashanah, between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, referred to as Shabbat teshuvah. He was sitting on a chair and he grabbed the handles of the chair.
You could see that chair today, man. Sure.
Was it that one? Yeah.
No, because Reb Nosson gave him those
later
chairs.
On.
Reb Nosson gave him those chairs. This is just when he first came.
I think someone else gave him that.
It was a shochet.
Unless they gave him chairs like he's down at the table.
Oh, I see. That
was a shochet.
Reb Nosson's chairs?
No, it was a shochet. A shochet.
So sad. I thought it was Reb Nosson's chairs. Oh.
So he grabbed the sides of the chairs, and he, with a lot of intensity and Mesirut Nefesh, he says, when you sit on the chair, then you are Adam. Okay. Cryptic introduction to this lesson. Another aspect of this lesson is that this lesson, when you read it, it's not obvious that it's talking about Elul. It's not obvious. It talks about teshuvah, but in it doesn't really mention Elul. But after he finished telling the lessons, one of Rebbe Nachman's students, his name was Reb Yudel. Reb Yudel was known to be a very, very big Kabbalist. So much so that he would, I think Rebbe Nachman appointed him as to be in charge of the neshamot on Erev Shabbat. And Erev Shabbat, a lot of neshamot come for a tikkun, and I believe it's Reb Yudel. I believe he was responsible for all the neshamot that came down Erev Shabbat to help them with the tikkun. I don't know how it works, but it was Reb Yudel. Also, Reb Yudel knew Kabbalah Ma'asit. Kabbalah Ma'asit is practical Kabbalah, where you can affect material change with certain names of Hashem. When you hear stories of like the Baal Shem Tov, Kfitzat HaDerech, and he needed a mikvah. He said a few names, and a mikvah appeared. That's called Kabbalah Ma'asit. I know it sounds magical because that's the only reference in pop culture we have, which is magic. But Kabbalah has the power too, with the names of Hashem, knowing the rights. Okay, so Reb Yudel was this one. So Reb Yudel was known as, out of all the students that he had, out of his handful of students, Reb Yudel was the Kabbalist. So after he finished the lesson, he turns to Reb Yudel and he said, "Okay, where's what I said in the lesson? Where's it written in the Arizal what I said?" He was confused because and he said it's written here the kavanot of Elul. That means the concentrations, the meditations of Elul are this lesson. Okay, and then after Shabbat, it was on Shabbat. So after Shabbat, he opened up the Arizal and he showed him how it was all laid out. Okay,
Did Reb Nosson surpass Reb Yudel in Kabbalah?
No.
Or he was a scribe, he was a different Zach.
Rabbi Natan, maybe he did, but that's not his thing. Rabbi Natan's thing was that he was, and it's actually relevant to this lesson because this lesson is about teacher-student dynamic, and this is the first lesson that Rebbe Nachman told Rabbi Natan. So, Rabbi Natan was all about 100% fully understanding what Rabbi Nachman is saying. That means if we try to understand, like even Rabbi Aryeh Kaplan says, like even a prophecy, right? It says that only Moshe Rabbeinu had a clear prophecy. There was no interpretation. When Moshe Rabbeinu said that Hashem said this, it didn't go through a filter. Right? It's called a spaklaria hameira. It didn't go through a filter. It was exactly what Hashem said. Every other prophet, as high as they achieved, it still went through a layer of interpretation of the prophet's existence. Like even Yechezkel, it's still through Yechezkel's mind.
But the Nevis of Moshe Rabbeinu, he completely was Bavat Das.
So, Lavdil, or comparatively, you could say that Rabbi Natan had the same approach to Rebbe Nachman. There was no interpretation. When Rabbi Natan speaks, he's not interpreting what Rebbe Nachman is saying. He's saying it's literally going through him. And Rabbi Nachman himself said that, where no other student can say that. So when you say Rabbi Yudel, Rabbi Nachman, so maybe Rabbi Yudel had a higher grasp in Kabbalah, but in terms of understanding what Rabbi Nachman is trying to say, Rabbi Natan is the address.
It sounds a little bit like, to use today's terminology, Rabbi Nachman had a team. There was Reb Nosson, who was a scribe. He had Rabbi Yudel, who was doing Tikkun Neshamos. A little bit, it sounds like.
Reb Aaron
was the roof, and the Shoich. I don't know. Just using a thing. I don't know if I can say that, but it sounds almost like certain people. I mean, obviously, Reb Nosson was the Muslim, but there were certain people had different
strengths.
Okay, so thinking of the best way to do this, and we're not necessarily going to just go through the lesson from beginning to end. I would say we'll take a topic, we'll open it up, and through that topic we'll build. Okay. So just some bullet points before we start on what this lesson covers. This lesson covers the topic primarily of teshuvah. Important distinction to make here, this is different than traditional teshuvah that we learn about, like from the Rambam, for example. Right? Traditional functional steps of teshuvah. This is different. The Rambam, and this is a general principle with Rebbe Nachman's teachings, is Rebbe Nachman is not here to teach us halacha. He's not here to teach us what to do. Now there is a mitzvah of teshuvah, right? V'shavta Hashem Elokecha, right? Tshuvu elai. There's a mitzvah of teshuvah, and the Rambam codifies the mitzvot, and the Rambam codified the mitzvah of teshuvah in very clear steps based on the Gemara and the halacha. Fine. Rebbe Nachman is not talking about the mitzvah of teshuvah. He's talking about the person and the state that he's in, and where does teshuvah fit into that? Okay. So, and this is a general rule for all of Rebbe Nachman's teachings. Rebbe Nachman is coming before even halacha shows up in the picture. Rebbe Nachman is talking
Before or after?
Before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
mindset.
That means a person.
I thought these were like higher levels of teshuvah.
No,
Teshuvah and teshuvah. We're talking
Wait,
about.
but Rebbe always talks to people who are no connection to Torah,
Oh, okay.
right?
Yeah, sure.
Or can you say that you could be doing teshuvah, but you're just going through the motions? If you don't have the
No,
right mindset.
Rebbe Nachman wants us to wake up and even think that halacha is a thing. There's so many people that halacha is not even a thing. What do I care what it says in some random book? What do I care? So some guy wrote some books that are old-fashioned from 2,000 years ago. What do I care about that, right? So to bring a person to a place that he cares about it, what's that realm called, right? So, okay, so that's the realm that Rebbe Nachman is in. That's the realm that he's in. Before we even open up the Shulchan Aruch, before it even makes sense, why should I care? Like, where do I come from? Who am I as a human being, and what does this matter? So in this regard, with that principle, the same thing goes with teshuvah, right? What is teshuvah? What is teshuvah? What does it have to do with me? Forget about the mitzvah of teshuvah, the halach. Just what is teshuvah? What does it have to do with me? Right? How does a person? So that's a very important key to remember, because it's a big thing, especially like people, we have certain associations with teshuvah that we have, and if we bring those associations in here, we will get confused. So just almost like pause the associations and then relearn what teshuvah is from this perspective, and then we go back to those associations. By the way, Rabbi Natan, who was a baki, he was a posek. By 18, he was fully
First.
He finished Shas and he was versed and he was a posek and he knew like all the halachot and he was Reb Nachman. When he came to Rabbeinu, he said he put aside everything he knew to understand what he didn't have garbage in his head. It's like he had good stuff in his head. He had Torah. He had only good stuff, and he put it aside. That means, you sometimes we bring in our concepts that we've picked up in life, we bring it into this, we think we understand an idea, and then it really just throws. So teshuvah is a popular concept. We're all more or less bal teshuvahs here, so we all have pretty strong ideas of what teshuvah is. So just to understand this, I think maybe don't lean too much into the traditional understanding of teshuvah. Okay, so let's look at what he's talking about here. I'll just read the beginning, because, as a starting point. Vayomer Hashem Moshe kira et Yoshua. He starts with a pasuk all the way at the end of the Torah. I think it's either Hazinu or V'zot Beracha, where it's basically talking about the Hashem tells to Moshe, time to pass the torch. Go call Yoshua. Tell him to come here. If you look at the midrash on this pasuk, it's wow, it's fascinating midrash. It's a whole thing that Moshe has to go get the student, but according to the halacha, a teacher doesn't get a student. The student has to come to the teacher. So the dynamic is changing where Moshe has to get, and then Hashem talks to Yoshua, and Moshe can't hear what Hashem is talking to Yoshua. There's a whole story going on. So this is the time. This is the pasuk he brings. This Hashem tells Moshe, go call your student Yoshua. So here we know with this pasuk that there's whatever he's going to introduce here, ultimately is going to come back to this concept of Moshe Rabbeinu's relationship with Yehoshua. Okay, teacher-student relationship. Very important to remember, we're not talking here about a knowledge relationship, which is the classic teacher-student relationship.
Giving over of knowledge.
Yeah, we're not talking about that, where I have more knowledge than you, so I'm going to share my knowledge with you, and thus you become my student. We're not talking about it. That's not what a teacher is, right? That's not what a Rav is. We're talking here about a deep, deep connection of two souls in what is referred to as Rav v'Talmid. Okay? So it's a way to transmit Torah, the feeling of Torah, the vitality of Torah through. It's the most foundational way we have of Judaism, right? We have Moshe Kibel Torah Sinai, and it happens. The fact that we're all sitting here means someone did it with us, and the vitality's been passed on. So that right there, the quintessential master-student relationship is Moshe Rabbeinu and Yoshua ben Nun. There doesn't exist on this planet someone who achieved such a perfection of this type of relationship in the world, except for Moshe Rabbeinu and Yeshua. And the pasuk that talks about passing of the torch is the pasuk that he brings down here, which is Vayomer Hashem el Moshe Kira et Yoshua. And this is the name of the lesson, Kira et Yoshua. Okay, now, completely different topic, seemingly. Ki tzarich kol adam lema'et b'chvod atzmo u'larbot b'chvod hamakom. Kavod. What's the interpretation of the word kavod?
Honor.
Honor.
I like prestige. I heard someone pronounce.
Prestige.
That's even better. I like that.
Okay, so now what's kavod atzmo? So we have our kavod and we have Hashem's kavod.
Mm-hmm.
So on a most basic level, human beings, we cannot exist without kavod. The fact that, like, even pay attention to me, that is kavod. Don't ignore me, that is kavod, right? Acknowledge my existence on the most, stuff we take for granted. We have kids, we have wife, people that are calling us, want our attention. That's all kavod, right? So he says here, tzarich kol adam lema'et b'chvod atzmo. So we have to minimize our own kavod and maximize the kavod of Hashem. Decrease our sense of self, increase the sense of Hashem. כי מי שרודף אחר הכבוד אינו זוכה לכבוד אלוקים, אלא לכבוד של מלכים, שנאמר בו כבוד מלכים ככל דבר. So now he's naming it. There's two types of kavod. One is called kavod elokim, and one is called kavod melachim. Kavod melachim chakor davar. So, who has honor? Give me an example of someone that has honor. A classic example.
Wealthy person.
King.
A king. Okay. How does it work when a king shows up? Close the streets.
Close the streets. It's a whole pomp and
Ceremony. Everyone's standing, looking.
Everyone's wearing the best clothing.
Everyone's wearing the next dates on the front page, right? So that's called Kvod Melachim. And the nature of Kvod Melachim is, the more present it is, the more people inquire. People want to know, who is this person? And is he worthy of this honor?
Right.
He's under assessment. That's called Kvod Melachim. An honor that's always being assessed in the minds of the people who are giving you the honor. That's Kvod Melachim. So, Trump shows up, motorcade, streets are, everyone's assessing. They may assess that he deserves it, fine. They may assess he doesn't deserve it, but there's an assessment happening. Right, exactly. So there's an assessment happening at every moment, and based on the kavod comes based on the assessment. Okay, he refers to this assessment as chakor davar. Chakor means to research. Research means let me figure out if this is worthy of honor. And the nature of that, tabloids, paparazzi, newspaper, media, right? What is the whole job of the media? The whole job of the media, who are you? Oh yeah? You think this guy is so special? Well, I saw him eating a hamburger just like you eat a hamburger. So it means he's not as special. Because he eats like you, and he drives a car like you. Right. Okay. So that's the assessment. That's called Kvod Melachim. הכל חוקרים אחריו ושואלים מי הוא זה ואיזה הוא שחולקים לו הכבוד הזה. וחולקים עליו שאומרים שאין לו רגע לכבוד הזה. But ultimately, he says, in this type of kavod, a person is, the assessment always ends up that he's not worthy of this kavod.
You're saying that's always the assessment?
Yeah, it says v'chokim alav shomrim she'en lo kavod hazeh. For this type of kavod, that means even when you get it, it's never complete. At the end of the day, the assessment reaches a point that the person says, אומרים שאין לו ראוי לכבוד הזה. That's called kavod melachim. That it's never going to be a full kavod. So any kavod. So effectively, this means any kavod received from people. Any kavod that people give, this is how it's delivered. So this is in a scenario mi sherodef achar kavod. Right? Someone was looking for honor, like your classic politician. Looking for honor, right? As soon as he sees people's around, he has to make a speech. There was some guy from my shul, Israelis, that the kid was getting bullied in the school. for months he was telling me about it. Like he was in a public school, whatever, and they were anti-Semitism. It was going on for months.
Public school.
And then one day, someone made a stink, and they arranged a big thing, like a protest. All of a sudden, at the protest, like 5 politicians showed up, and everyone gave a speech. Politicians that are not shy, nothing to do. They all came and they spoke.
Oh, really? Yeah. They stopped their eye.
They spoke. They all gave nice, beautiful speeches. They were never there. All of a sudden, there was like 500 people from the neighborhood there, and they all came to show. That's how they operate, right?
Wow.
So that's called Rodef Achar Kavod. So Rodef Achar Kavod means, okay, you're worthy, you're not worthy, you're subject to this constant assessment. Aval mi sheboreach min hakavod. So, but the opposite, someone who's running away from kavod, is not looking to honor himself. Shemema'ed bichvod atzmo u'marbeh bichvod hamakom, azay hu zocher lichvod Elokim. On the flip side, there's another kavod that's called kavod Elokim. Kavod Elokim is a private kavod. Az en bnei adam chokrim al kavodom. It's not something that people know about. People don't investigate this kavod. They don't investigate if we're worthy of it. ועליו נאמר כבוד אלוקים הסתר דבר, כי אסור לחקור על כבוד הזה. Okay. A few conclusions that we understand from here. The first thing is kavod bad? What do you guys think?
Depends.
You guys think is kavod bad? Okay, let me rephrase it. Is our desire to feel worthy and respected, is that a bad desire?
Apparently no.
If I want someone to pay
Says in
attention,
Pirkei Avos, no, do what's a good name for you and an honor for your whatever. So
Tov Shem Hashem and Tov.
Yeah.
No, but that's just like a fact. And a reputation surpasses everything.
I think everyone needs a little bit, a drop of kavod, a drop of yeshus of existence and recognition, whether it's from your wife or from the.
But is that a
Friends or
b'diavad thing?
I think so, because everyone's from Hashem anyway, so what are you taking pride in?
No. So let me.
Maybe it's not. Chasing these things.
So let me articulate it properly. My desire to feel that I exist. Okay? The desire. How I'm going to go about it, we're not talking about right now. We're just talking about I desire to feel that I exist. There's many ways to feel I exist, right? We're not going to talk about exactly how. Just the idea. I desire to feel that I exist. I yearn to feel a sense of existence. Is this a negative thing?
I don't think so. Who doesn't want to feel like they exist? You should feel like you don't exist.
Okay, so from here it's mashma that kavod is not something you can delete. There's just, what's going to happen is, it's the zelu mazeh. You need kavod. The question is, are you going to get kavod elokim or kavod melachim? Right? Kavod melachim is when now we're already talking about the how. The kavod melachim is when I go about it and I actively pursue. It's like, no, how many likes do I have? Right? That's kavod melachim. Every like gives me a sense, okay, I'm good. 40 million hits on my video. That's like, that's like major kavod melachim. Right? You look at these YouTubers, like, it's like major kavod melachim. No? And I'm pursuing it and I'm promoting it and I need it, and I wake up in the morning and I see that there's another 10 million views and I'm like, wow, what a geschmack, what a chayas I have, that like my life is worth living because there's people all over the globe that are
giving me recognition,
right? But now, okay, so that's kavod melachim. Now, kavod elokim is the exact same feeling, not the exact same feeling, the real feeling, but from Hashem. That means what I'm chasing is fair. It's just that I'm chasing it, all of a sudden it makes it a problem. But what I'm desiring from my heart, which turns into a chase of trying to get likes and attention and social media, whatever it may be, that original desire is called kavod. right? So Rabbeinu says here there's kavod. Now you just need to do it in a way. That means when you're memayet b'chvod atzmo, you get more kavod. So Rabbeinu is not telling us to suffer and put yourself in a place where you have no kavod. He's not saying that to us. He's not saying go and humiliate yourself and be a schlepper and look down upon, and that's memayet b'chvod atzmo, right? Would that be an interpretation, right? Memayet b'chvod atzmo. You have to buy a nice suit? No. Just stand there on the side. Why do you have to draw attention? It could be misinterpreted.
I mean, there were tzaddikim who went around and wore regular clothes and did stuff like that, no?
Rabbeinu did that himself.
Right. When he was in Turkey or whatever.
He did it a few times where he just disappeared and acted like he was a regular person, right? We don't know why those people did it exactly. We know that they did it. We're talking here at the heart of the person, why the person's doing it in his heart, right? Okay, so now what does this have to do with teshuvah?
No?
What does this have to do with teshuvah?
You have a non-dairy creamer if you have. An almond milk or almond milk.
Okay, so here we are talking about, very simply put, a sense of worth. I have worth, I have value, an inherent value in this world. And that is called kavod. Now, how do I affirm my inherent value? How do I affirm it? How do I affirm that I have inherent value? How do people affirm that they have inherent value?
Well, a lot of people look for money.
Money, prestige,
Women
honor.
probably look for looks, beauty, probably.
Men's accomplishments.
You know the classic example of the guy
Things to show off.
things to show off. Maybe he has a managerial position at work where he gets to boss around people, right? Maybe he has maybe has a corner office. Maybe portfolio. Maybe people are coming knocking on his door for tzedakah, and it makes him feel special. Whatever. There's a million different ways, but the commonality between all of this is that one way to affirm our value, our worth, is through external recognition of people. Yes. So that's one way to affirm our worth, that other people recognize that we are worthy. It's a very classic way to do it. Now that he introduces a chidush here, that you need to feel worthy. You need to feel worthy, and you need to feel good about yourself. You need to feel that you are a worthy individual, and you need to feel confident in who you are.
How do you get that from?
But it cannot be from other people.
How do you get that from the text? Or you
don't see it?
I see some people. I don't
כי
see.
צריך כל אדם למד בכבוד עצמו להרבות בכבוד המקום. כי מי שרודף אחר הכבוד אינו זוכה לכבוד אלוקים. אלא לכבוד של מלאכים. Right? So there's two options here. He gives us a binary system. There's kvod melachim and there's kvod elokim. You see that in the text?
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Yeah? You see that?
Yeah, for sure.
There's no option where there's no kavod. I don't see any option where there's no kavod.
Okay.
Right? That means kavod itself has to be there. The question is, how are we getting it? So either it's kvod melachim, where a person is going towards the kavod, either it's kvod elokim, where a person is running away from the kavod. But those are the two modalities here of a person. Now he says that the kvod elokim is only attainable with teshuvah. Okay, so that means that, let's say we look at this and we say, okay, fine, I hear it's not good to get kavod from people, fine. What are you offering me here? What are you selling me? I'm selling you the option to feel good about yourself without involving people. What do you think of that? You like it? You like that idea?
It's amazing.
Listen, if you are...
Look at those guys. They soup up their Honda Civics with those loud exhausts. It's the most pathetic way ever, right? Everyone looks at them. No one knows who they are. They think they're cool. No one knows them. No one recognizes them. And everyone knows they don't even own a house. They can go back to their apartment, right? It's like guaranteed, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's like the most that's covered in Malachim.
Yeah, of course.
Right?
All Kavod Malachim is like that. Even the ones that
Right.
have prestige.
Right. But it's easiest to see it on the lowest form.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? I think guys are like, whatever. The Range Rover's a little bit harder. No, but it's gone on. It's like, yeah, I know that car's 6 years old and you put $5,000.
But in his world,
right?
in his
He's
world,
flying high.
yeah.
He's way up there. He made it.
So the Kavod Malachim, listen, if you're doing well and you're getting your honor, why would you give it up? You would give it up, if you're honest with yourself, you would give it up for one reason, because you'll realize that no one actually honors you. If you're honest with yourself, you'll realize that no one actually honors you.
He wants
You.
something from you.
Exactly. Your position, who you are, how you present, and in their hearts, they're evaluating you all the time, and they're thinking you really deserve to be this, and to tell me what to do. If I had the choice, I wouldn't even, right? That this is the honor we're getting. This is the honor. Like you're sitting there in your fancy office, and everyone is knocking on your door and needs you, you know, and you're getting all this honor, and people are coming to you, and you're deciding people's salaries and money and paychecks, and it's all in your hands, and you feel so good about yourself, and it feels like these people are honoring you, but really they're not honoring you. What he's saying here is that you're being assessed at all times. You're being assessed at every given moment, and the essence of the honor is an assessment type of honor, which is really not an honor. It's actually
It's like a Sonian level of honor.
but it's not. But at the
Judgment, there's a
core,
lot of din and
yeah,
honor.
at the core, it's like,
There's a lot of
who are you?
Yeah.
There's the question of who are you that's always there. So it's not really honor. Honor is I accept who you are. Right?
Full acceptance, full.
Yeah, that's honor. It's like I accept you're a
That's
great.
the shleimut, and then
Exactly.
In its ideal sense.
So, but here he's saying the whole nature of Kavod Melachim is it's an honor where all the people distributing the honor are not really giving you the honor. They're giving it to very contingent and on an assessment basis. So what's the flip side? An honor that's pure and that's authentic and that's an honor of who you really are. Kavod Elokim. And Bnei Adam chokim ala kvodo im hu ra'ui elav. No one's assessing your honor. It's pure. It's coming from Hashem. It's private. So now I hear this, and I think to myself, okay, I like this. I like this idea of Kvod Elokim. And you know what? When you get Kvod Elokim, you don't need people anymore. You don't need them. You don't need people to approve how you feel. You don't need to worry what the person thinks about you because you feel good about yourself. You feel you're in a good place. So now we hear this and we're like, okay, I like this. I want this. So how do we do this? So now we understand where tshuva comes into the picture. So tshuva is how we get this honor. Okay? So we understand the first key thing that tshuva does, according to here, is that it gives a person a sense of self, of worthiness, that's independent of people, independent of other people giving it to me. I feel good about myself. I feel that I'm worthwhile to be alive, and it's not because someone told me good job, and it's not because I got likes on my thing. I just feel it in my heart. That is the first effect of tshuva on a person, and it causes a person to feel this way, right? So what is the effect of tshuva? It gives you kvod elokim. You see this? Again, we have kvod melachim and we have kvod elokim. Kvod melachim is when people give us kavod. Kvod elokim is when Hashem gives us kavod. Kavod is the feeling that I have worth on a very simple level. The kvod elokim can only happen if a person has teshuvah. Understood? Clear? Any questions?
So if you want to pursue, so to speak, this kavod the kid, you have to do tshuva.
Listen, I've discovered something in all of Rebbe Nachman's teachings. You have to find the point where it's advantageous to you. what am I getting out of this? If you can you really engage and put an effort in changing of a lifestyle if you don't see anything you're going to gain out of this?
In other words, what's the buy-in?
Yeah. No? What do you think? You don't. When I approach a lesson over the years, this question comes up. So subconsciously or consciously, but it comes up in my heart. It's like, what am I getting out of this? What does it do for me? How does this help me in my life? Forget about the Gan Eden in that part.
I said
Today.
automatically it does it.
Huh?
I find maybe I could
It does what?
maximize it. I feel it's changing me automatically.
It's doing something good.
Yeah.
Right. So there's something good coming out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So there's this assessment always. That means if I don't see something good coming out of this, it's not sustainable. So it's just like a tough job. Just doing, you're changing your lifestyle for what? Because I'm supposed to. You can't. I don't think we can sustain. I don't think we can sustain that. We have to see some benefit to ourselves. So the benefit can be on a superficial level. Our entry point is I want to feel good about myself, and it's not even superficial. It's like I want to feel I'm a valuable human being. No, it's hardwired in my system. I just don't want to do it in the Kvod Melachim way. He makes it pretty clear that the Kvod Melachim way is not a good way to do it. So this feeling inside of me, how do I address it? He says, Kvod Elokim. So now we're looking at teshuvah. And here comes the classic line that is said in this lesson that throws a whole wrench on teshuvah. The ikara teshuvah, the essence of teshuvah, the main focus of teshuvah, kesheyishma bizono yidom v'yishtok. A person should hear their humiliation and be silent. What does that mean? Let's translate that.
Doesn't sound like some good healthy self-confidence.
That what?
Superficial level doesn't sound like one will gain a healthy sense of self.
Because you have such a healthy sense of self that you don't need to defend yourself.
Okay, let's break it down. Let's break it down. No. Let's break it down. We are looking at a person right now who is not zoche to this kavod, right? Yes, you're with me?
Mm-hmm.
And he wants to be zoche to this feeling.
Okay.
So if he's not zoche to this feeling, then what feeling does he have? Where is his worth coming from? We said that there's only two options where we can feel worthy. What are the options?
External.
External or from Hashem, which is internal, right?
Yeah.
So he's not getting the internal kavod because he's before teshuvah.
Right.
Where is it coming from?
It's got to be the external.
External.
Process of elimination.
Okay. Yes? Do we see this? Okay. People are telling him, what is the opposite of someone giving me kavod? The opposite, not the passive, the exact
ignoring
opposite.
you?
Huh?
Ignoring you?
No, but actively opposite.
Beating you down?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The beat down.
You don't beat
The
down.
beat down.
So now what happens? What happens to us when we get a beatdown, an emotional beatdown? What's the instinct inside of us?
Defend yourself.
What's the reaction?
No, I'm okay.
To defend, self-defense.
Not physical.
No, but to
Justification.
to
Justification.
fight back.
Okay. So in the words of this lesson, there's kavod, and the opposite of kavod is bizayon. Bizayon means humiliation. Kavod means I tell you, someone tells me I'm special and he lifts me up. Bizayon, someone you're garbage and he puts me down, right? The opposite.
Yeah.
So now what happens in that moment? So when a person gave me kavod, he uplifted me and he put me into the cycle of kavod melachim. Now I'm getting bizayon, and here's my opportunity to get teshuvah, which breaks me out of the cycle of kavod melachim. To break me out of the cycle is when there's two parts here. One is the bizayon part, to feel a sense of humiliation from somebody else, and two, and this is the critical point, is immediately in that moment, there's an instinct that rises up within me, internally, right? That means, what happened internally? My kavod was smashed down. So the kavod rises back up. It wants to be honored, right? So you're going to talk to me like this right now, right? The kavod just got smashed down and it rises back up, but it's not the authentic kavod. It's the kavod that I've established from people. So that's been smashed down, so it rises back up. Now, what am I supposed to do when it rises back up? What does he instruct us here? Shishma bizono, yidom v'yishtok.
Quiet.
Simply put, to not give it a release.
I have to say something really directly related to this. I heard this idea before, but I just heard it again on a video, like going around a story. I think it's brought down by Shem Chaim Kanievsky. That if someone is silent when they're being publicly insulted, not private, publicly embarrassed, that one should try to get a bracha from that individual who was just embarrassed before he responds to the person insulting him publicly.
Wow.
It's exactly
Must
this
be
point.
from this.
It's exact. This
Must be the.
And there's famous story. There's many stories like this. One time, I was in Israel. Actually, I wasn't.
There's lots of opportunity to get insulted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Lots of practice. You go there and practice all day
One of my
long.
rabbanim in Israel, there was a guy who was a little bit mentally unstable in shul, and for whatever reason, the rabbi was giving drush, and this guy decides to stand up in the middle of the drush, and it was Leil Shabbos. But the guy starts insulting him, like, publicly. It wasn't fully there. And the Rav heard after the fact, the Rav immediately gave a bracha to the entire shul. he was holding the sugya. I don't know if he knew this Torah, but he was holding, this concept is playing out, and
So we're gonna break it down because it's not a mystical thing here. There's a real system that he explains that's going on. Why this is such? Why is it that specifically the embarrassment? Why is it that this is critical for the teshuvah process? And why is it that this is the portal into Kvod Elokim? It's very systemized here. Why it's like it's not just some skulas of randomness, and he's going to break it down. So far, you understand everything?
I'm understanding, yes.
Okay.
Yes, I understand. I hope.
Kilet kavod belo kaf. Okay. The word kavod has a kaf. We're not going to get into this right now. The word kavod has a kaf. Kaf hu keter, b'chinat eye, b'chinat tshuva. כי איה דן אז המילה מהבן, וקודם התשובה עדיין לא הוויה. כאילו עדיין לא נתהווה בעולם, כי טוב לו שלא נברא משנברא. כשבא לתאר את עצמו ולעשות תשובה, אז הוא בבחינת איה. היינו שלא הוויה בעולם. היינו ענה אז המילה מהבן. I'm going to skip this, but very simplified. One of the names of Hashem is Ehyeh.
Okay.
Okay? It's
That's
the name,
his Canadian name. I'm sure.
it's his Egyptian name, if anything.
Egyptian?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
That's what he
That's
said.
the name
He
to
said
take
it.
us out of Mitzrayim.
Right, and that's the highest level.
It's the highest level, right. So when Hashem told Moshe Rabbeinu with this name, take them out of Mitzrayim, it was Ehyeh. Ehyeh is a word in Hebrew that means I will be.
That's all of a
Yud Hey.
unit. Okay.
I will be. If I will be means that what? What am I right now? I am not. Right?
Okay.
So Yud Ke Vav Ke, the name of Hashem, is I am.
Okay.
I am, but it's present.
Present tense, yeah.
It's very, Ehyeh is future tense.
Okay.
That means right now I am not. That means he's saying here that when a person is in this state of before tshuva we don't have existence. We don't exist. So what happens is, what does it mean we don't exist? That means we don't have kavod. Kavod is the person's existence. Right now he's layering in this introduction. And it's kavod that we spoke about before. It's so fundamental to how we feel. It's our actual existence. That's what kavod is. Do you exist? If you answer yes, it means you have kavod. That's what he's saying here. Now, when a person is steeped in Kvod Melachim, it doesn't count. He's before teshuvah. He's before teshuvah. His existence is fake, and it's easy to see. Like on the outside, it's easy to see this. Person is living in this bubble of his ego. He thinks he's so special. Someone needs to pop it, right?
Yes, usually happens.
I feel bad. We should really feel bad for ourselves, because if we let the ego take off all the way, the pop that comes at death is such a strong pop, because then we finally catch up to where we're actually holding. And if we let it inflate, for 50, 60 years, that's, the pain we're going to feel when we catch up to where we're at. So if we feel pain in this world, it's fine. If someone told us, so that's what he's trying to say here. If someone tells us something to pop how we're feeling and bring us down, that's a great opportunity to start existing. And that's called keter. Okay, but put that aside right now. Let's look at why what's going on here with specifically humiliation and existence. Okay, so I'm just going to say this Baal Peh. I'm going to say this. So we'll close this. So, Adam. So what happens is here, the quintessential existence of a human being is called Adam. This is what we're striving to achieve. Adam. Adam was the image that Yechezkel saw on the throne that was sitting there. Adam was Adam Arishon. And we are trying to be Adam. Now, it says there something. What is Adam? Aleph, Daled, Mem, right? So it's Aleph, Dam. Aleph, Dam. So what is Aleph, Dam? It says that means there's two states of existence that we can have as Adam. We can be an Adam, or we can be Dam.
D-U-M-B?
Okay, we could be Adam or we could be Dam. What's the difference?
There are no accidents.
Right? What's the difference between Adam and Dam? So Dam, they look the same. They look exactly, they present outwardly, in the behavior-wise, they present the exact same way. Adam has existence. Dam doesn't have existence. What does the word Dam mean? Blood. An animal is Dam, right? If you look at what your entire vitality is in your blood. Take a blood test, you can pretty much get a test. I don't know how many hundreds of things you can test in blood tests, right? That means the whole system of a person is all in the blood. That means the blood of a person carries everything. So you can exist just from your blood. You can exist like an animal, right? So this is Dam. So what? Okay. So when we are in Dam, we are animals that appear like humans. Yes, follow? A human-looking animal. He looks like a human. He talks like a human. He sounds like a human. But he's an animal. And this is like a lot of people debate and say, well, do we really have free choice? We're just like, we have a bigger prefrontal cortex, which means we have higher executive function and all these things. But really, we're just a more advanced animal, right? You've heard this argument before?
Yeah, and they are. That's their own acting very hard.
Okay. So the argument essentially is speaking about Dam. It's talking about Dam. So what is missing from Dam to make us a human being? Aleph. Right? So he says here, when a person gets embarrassed, what happens with the blood?
Rushes out from his face.
It rushes, comes up to the face of a person. It's amazing, no? Why? It's such a weird thing. We take it for granted because we grew up with it, but let's not kiss it. The blood comes up when a person gets embarrassed. What's the connection? I don't know, so many things happen that when it's specifically humiliate, it's known. You get red in the face, right? And it comes up and the person's embarrassed. It's humiliation. And then all the blood drains. So he's saying that this is exactly what's happening. He says that the Yetzer Hara of a person, and I'm summarizing here a lot, I'm packing it in because I don't know what's it going to be. The Yetzer Hara of a person is in the blood of a person. Okay? This is where the Yetzer Hara lives. The physical Yetzer Hara. If he doesn't exist in our blood, he has no control over us. So in order for him to give us all the desires that we have, he has to reside within our blood. So he contaminates, toxic almost in a way, makes our blood toxic. Now, I can control my Yetzer Hara, right? But he's still there. He's still there. I'm controlling a beast that's inside of me, but he's still inside of me. But that's not what we're talking about. He's talking about here something that's called Zvichat Yetzer Hara. I want to get rid of him. I don't want to wrestle him and, keep him at bay and, be the stronger one. I want to slay him. I want to slay the Yetzer Hara and murder him. Shvichut Damim, he talks about this. He says when a person gets embarrassed, the Yetzer Hara, immediately what it does is, because the Yetzer Hara is in the blood of a person, because the essence of the person is kavod, and the Yetzer Hara has hijacked the essence of the person and has given him a fake existence, this now, fake existence is being attacked with a humiliation. So now the instinct of Yetzer Hara, he can't help it, is that he wants to fight back. But this is a great opportunity to slay the Yetzer Hara. So if I keep silent, and we'll talk about what that means, if I don't let that reaction to the humiliation, and by the way, this is very hard to do, but if I don't let the reaction of the humiliation control my next actions, then I effectively slay him. And the blood that has risen up, which is a blood contaminated with Yetzer Hara, that amount of blood now gets slayed, and Yetzer Hara that existed in me, a certain extent of Yetzer Hara that existed in me, that was dominating my behavior because, I'm just driven by blood, has now been taken out of me. And now I've opened up a little space within me where I can be Adam and not just Dam. And then the Aleph comes into the picture. And now I have room to feel the Kavod of Hashem. There's a lot there. Okay. And then later on in the lesson, we'll stop here. Later on in the lesson, he talks about the Aleph itself, and how the Aleph has three parts. And that's... Okay.
Okay, wow, it's great to see you, Lauren. Lauren, it's great to see you.
We'll get in at least a couple more times before Rosh Hashanah.